Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy. The solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere outside of Cape Canaveral, where the Artemis 2 mission has launched. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. And this right here, the thing that you are watching, is called the TNAM Daily Show. TNAM, of course, stands for the new American media, because the old American media has failed you. Rather, it hasn't failed. It's done exactly what it intended to do, which was present a narrative that is not accurate. It is meant to guide and control and manipulate you. Fantastic. So, on today's program, we're going to discuss, is there going to be a shakeup? Are we losing Tulsi Gabbard and Pam Bondi from the Trump administration? Will there be a wind down to the Iran operation? Will Tina Peters be sentenced to less than she was already? How are the Democrats viewed within their own party and within the general public? And many more questions, many more stories covered on today's show. So hit like, hit the thumbs up button, hit subscribe, share the show with a friend, because the TNAM Daily Show starts now.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
Just like there's a reason
Thank you so much for being here. My technology is being crazy. Things that were fully charged are completely drained. Things that have their volume off are playing volume. And one of our YouTube videos was flagged not suitable for most advertisers. Now, where's the audio coming from here? Every device is failing to do what I need it to do. I mean, I'm on like a generational roll right here. Everything. Okay, we have Rumble up and going. I'll type hi. We need to close this. We need to play this. Whew. This is insane. Okay. Now the show's playing, allegedly. Nope. Now the volume I've turned down 3 times needs to be turned down a 4th time. Welcome to How the Sausage is Made. Hi, everybody in chat. Let me put you up on screen over here. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. Yeah. Okay, it appears as though I have my 3 playback screens functional, finally. Oh my gosh, we have a Kenneth sighting. Kenneth has been an incognito man for a week. Twice he joined us right at the end of a show. He's here with us today. Everybody, greetings, fellow patriots, to Kenneth. Hello, sir. Thanks for being here. I want you to follow the New American Media on all the platforms, including Instagram. That's our account right here. We share news stories consistently. So let's take a listen to this. File this story under situational awareness needed.
8-year-old Ahmed Ali, an Uber driver accused of a heinous crime.
Okay, hold on. I got to get the volume up.
58-year-old Ahmed Ali, an
58-year-old Ahmed Ali from Olympia. Is this Olympia? Was this Washington? This is the news story from, is that Fox Local? It's covered up by the timestamp. But oh my God, this story.
An Uber driver accused of a heinous crime.
Where they're asking that the court find probable cause for rape in the second degree and kidnapping in the first degree.
The victim relying on Ali's service as a rideshare driver to get back safely. Instead, documents say, Ali used his Uber app to make it seem like he dropped the victim off, then drove here to this secluded location outside of Olympia and raped the victim.
She is fearful if he is released or
Well, yeah, the whole community should be fearful. This guy should get the death penalty. You abuse somebody like that, you tell me, what value do you have to society if you're a type of person that would do something like that? That could be a family member, a loved one, a neighbor, a coworker.
express that she would be fearful if he is released.
Yeah, we'd all be fearful if that monster was released.
The probable cause documents say the family of the victim got worried when the woman did not return home. The father, using his phone, tracked his daughter's location to the scene of the assault and found the victim naked in the back seat of Ali's car, with Ali scrambling back to the front seat, trying to pull his pants up.
Oh my God.
There is a substantial danger that the defendant will commit a new violent crime, and this is based on the nature of these allegations.
Documents say the victim's family beat up Ali, and at least 2 shots were fired. Investigators say Ali tried to flee the scene, despite medics saying he needed help. In court, Ali still had bandages on his hands. Near the scene of the attack, I spoke to a dad who told me it's horrifying to hear what happened to someone else's daughter on Father's Day weekend.
You know, to me, it's justice, and it should have never happened to begin with, right? That it's just disgusting, but I'm glad the dad was able to be there.
The suspect is a father himself of 5 children. The
What?
courtroom was packed with family and neighbors in support of Ali. Investigators say Ali's daughter
In support of this demon.
actually reported her father missing to police on the day he's accused of raping someone else's child. 58-year-old Ahmed.
Recently, I got into a ride share. The car was wrong. The license plate was wrong. It was some Asian lady that didn't speak English. It was some man on the app. Everything about this ride was off. I felt incredibly unsafe. So just be careful when you're using Uber or Lyft, people. Be very careful. And don't let yourself get so far out of it that you can be taken advantage of. File this one under TNAM preparedness.
58-year-old.
This is Benny Johnson and James O'Keefe. I might have played this already, but, you know, I heard Nick Fuentes say something similar. Like, I learned from watching the Trump administration, why would I go to bat for him if he's not going to go to bat for me? James O'Keefe appears to be saying something similar to Benny Johnson. Take a listen.
You say that you have people potentially flipping on the higher-ups. Who are the higher-ups? What does your gut tell you?
Well, right now, I have people in the field.
The money's coming from somewhere.
Yes, it is.
You know,
I have people in
and
the
it's a
field
lot
right
of money,
now,
even
so
if it's $5 per signature to a homeless person.
This is people in California paying money to homeless people to get signatures so that automatic ballots could be created so that theoretically those ballots would be delivered to somewhere and then delivered to the polling place somehow, either through USPS or from a courier or through a vote tabulation mule, whatever the case. They just need live humans to sign up for things so that ballots can be delivered and our democracy can be stolen. James O'Keefe exposing this stuff in California, but he's not getting any results. Nobody's being arrested for this. It seems like it's a common thread. Nobody's getting arrested anywhere for anything. So why put a giant target on your back if nothing's going to happen?
There's like suitcases of hundreds of thousands of dollars where the $5 comes from, right?
That's correct. You got a huge audience. So if I say what it is right now, it might hurt my ability over the next few days to continue getting it. But
of course,
there's petitioners and there's coordinators, and it appears as though this is like organized crime. And the thing about organized crime is it's extremely dangerous. So you could have gangs involved in this. There are companies that do this, but they're criminal actions. So there's out-of-state people that come into California. They make a lot of money. And we've been given the names of those companies, and we're currently tracking them down. But yeah, James O'Keefe and Cam Higbee and Savannah Hernandez and Anthony Rubin and John Cho has a report out today. We are going to find the higher-ups and expose them. But I think the question we have to ask ourselves is, without accountability, what does it matter? What does it matter? If no one is held accountable, does bringing it to I guess the question for your audience, this is a rhetorical question, is, do you want me to continue doing this? Do you want me to continue exposing it? Does it even matter? I mean, that's a rhetorical question. I'm not going to answer that. Because I can stop. I can give up. I can retire. But I'm not gonna put my life in harm's way and my people's life, because they were almost killed, for nothing. It's not worth it. I think you would agree with that. So I can go away. I can be on the sabbatical until someone is arrested. But I'm not going to put my people's life in danger every week for nothing to happen. That's honest. I'm just being vulnerable and transparent with the world. I'm not going to get killed. I saw what happened to Charlie Kirk. I don't want to die. I need to stay on this earth to keep exposing the truth. So I can go on vacation. I can go away. And when y'all are going to arrest somebody, I'll come back. Because I'll tell you what, getting punched in the neck, having nobody get arrested, it's not right. It's immoral is what it is. And the Republicans are in power. The Attorney General of the United States has the jurisdiction to arrest someone tomorrow. I haven't seen any statements on the internet or on Fox News or anywhere else about this. And I frankly, I get there's egos involved, but I think it's a form of cowardice. I'm glad the president is talking about it. I think he should continue to talk about it.
You say that you have people.
So yeah, there is a growing frustration with the lack of accountability. And there are reports that, unsubstantiated, we'll see. If there's smoke where there's fire. Pam Bondi leaving. Tulsi Gabbard leaving. But where is the justice anywhere in the USA? We are burning daylight.
You say
yesterday, the Artemis 2. Tell us in the comments. Question of the day. I agree that we previously went to the moon. Tell me in the comments. Agree or disagree. I agree that the United States previously went to the moon. Landed on the moon. I sort of go back and forth on this one. You look at the pictures of this stuff and you're like, it just doesn't make it. It's not even remotely believable. Then there's a party. It's like, oh no, didn't it happen? Didn't I see it? Didn't it? You mean nothing? You mean no? Hmm? Tell me in the comments. I agree that we went to the moon. Tell me if you agree or disagree with that. Marion, yes, we've been to the moon. David says, disagree. We did not go to the moon. Well, you're Canadian. You didn't go to the moon. Although, just kidding, David. Well, I mean, you are Canadian. Allegedly. I believe there's a Canadian that went up on this Artemis 2 mission. I guess it's going to be 8 days till they hit the moon. They're going to do a loop around the dark side of the moon, of course, and then whip back. David disagrees. David doesn't think so. Lake Leon agrees that we went to the moon. Kenneth says we went to the moon only for the cheese. Well, the mission launched on April 1st, but let's show you when astronaut Scott Kelly is. Wait, is this the Scott Kelly? Who's the traitor? Who's on the seditious 6? That's Mark Kelly. Who am I looking at here? This is Scott Kelly. Yeah, it's Mark Kelly that's the bad guy. Former Navy astronaut and combat pilot. Democrat. Arizona. Okay, so this is Scott Kelly. Here's astronaut Scott Kelly, who once smuggled a full gorilla suit on board the International Space Station. One day, without anyone knowing, he put it on. The gorilla suit was sent up on a resupply mission while Scott was on board ISIS for a year in space. And after climbing into a soft-side storage container that was checked by Tim Peake, the video subsequently shows the first Brit aboard the space station being chased around by Kelly in full monkey mode. I don't know the context. But that just had to share that. Oh, David's giving us an update. Supposedly there's something wrong with the toilet on the ship at the moment. I toured a museum, an aeronautical museum, and was looking at the devices they use to collect the urine. Here, let's toilet problems on Artemis 2. Blinking fault light on the Orion spacecraft's universal waste management system. The advanced space toilet. The problem is specifically with the urine collection part, a jammed fan or controller issue that prevented proper airflow and suction for peeing. Solid waste, pooping, functionality remained available throughout. The crew could not initially use the toilet for urination. They temporarily fell back on the collapsible contingency urinal, CCU, basically a modern version of the old Apollo-era bags and funnels. Yeah, I was looking at those. At least one astronaut, reports suggest, used a contingency bag during the initial 6 hours. They successfully troubleshot and fixed the issue. Toilet restored to normal operations, both urine and feces. A non-critical glitch that was quickly resolved. Thanks for that update. It's fixed. The first person on the moon be Alice. I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, Cramden? Is that his name? To the moon, Alice. What was his name? What's his first name? Cramden. He was a bus driver in New York City. Is that what it was? Ralph Cramden, the hot-tempered Brooklyn bus driver, played by Jackie Gleason. Ralph was all bark and no bite, and Alice usually shut him down with a sharp, shut up. Humor came from the over-the-top bluster and their loving but combative dynamic. Pow, right in the kisser. Ralph Cramden. All right, let's keep it moving. I'll follow the science pie. All right, so here's it's National We Didn't Go to the Moon Day.
Still think we went to the moon? I mean, for real. So 51 years ago, we went to the moon, but we can't go back today.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore.
Okay. We don't have the technology to do that anymore. I've played this before.
Used to, but we...
Don Pettit, NASA astronaut, allegedly.
We destroyed that technology, and
We destroyed that technology. Oh, come on.
Painful process to build it back again.
It's a painful process to build it back again?
Yeah.
Isn't our technology supposed to be better now? Here's what phones looked like 51 years ago. And here's Richard Nixon talking to someone on the moon using one of those phones.
Go ahead, Mr. President. This is Houston out. Hello, Neil and Buzz. I'm talking to you by telephone from the Oval Room at the White House. And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made.
That's right. Richard Nixon used a landline to call the moon. Do you guys believe that was real?
I mean, you could say...
Well, the real question is, why does anyone believe it in the first place? Oh, because you saw it on TV? Do you guys think that video was real?
Houston, we've had a problem. Main B bus undervolt. Roger, main B undervolt.
It's kind of
Stand
silly
by
watching
13, we're looking at it.
fast speed like that.
Okay, right now, Houston, the voltage is looking good.
Who filmed the first shot of Neil Armstrong stepping onto the moon? Did they set up a camera crew before he got there? Was the cameraman the first guy to actually walk on the moon?
Well, let's talk about... And what are the debunks on all of this stuff? Honeymooners later to be recreated as King of Queens. Lots of similarities. I mean, geez, that was from the 50s, right?
About this, because this is
Buzz Aldrin with Conan.
I remember very clearly, I think anybody who was alive at the time does. I remember my parents waking me up, and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon.
No,
which
you
was
didn't. No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation. See, you associated what you saw with...
I have very hazy memories.
I know.
Well, no, what we saw was we all were gathered around the old curved top radio and listened.
Talking about, how many feet we were going to the left and right, and then I said, contact light, engine stop. And a few other things, and then Neil said, Houston, Tranquility Base, the Eagle has landed. Man, how about that?
That was very exciting.
Not a bad line.
Yeah.
Where are all the stars? Where's the sun?
There's gotta be debunks for, to hear the claims and questions and then the debunks. They've had to have done a lot of shows on this. I know we lost the technology is about as good as an excuse as my dog ate my homework. That in itself was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. We lost the technology. Okay. We're not talking about beaming Tesla coil like free energy out the top of the pyramid to a spacecraft recharging above. Lost the technology. This is from the 60s. Come on.
Oh, supposedly they went in the daytime and that's why you can't see the stars. But yet there's the Earth. And does anyone believe they flew back in this piece of garbage?
Okay. I mean, when you take a look at this, what is it that we're looking at? It does look like a science fair project. Now, that being said, how much of this folded out from the original unit that could then be brought back in and collapsed down?
3, 2, 1, ignition. Right away, Houston. That's your grid.
And so that you just pop, and that's all the gravity, that's all the thrust you need.
X-Shot.
Look at the gaps in the panels on this thing. Isn't space supposed to be a harsh environment? They went through space in our atmosphere in this thing. Do you guys believe that? And who filmed the shot of them leaving? So the cameraman who was the first guy actually on the moon got left on the moon. That's kind of weak. Oh, and by the way, did you guys know that NASA lost all the tapes and telemetry data from the previous moon missions?
Seen anything?
They lost the tapes and the telemetry data.
That indicates the telemetry data is even in existence, and as I said, even if we had it, we don't have the machines to play it back.
doesn't have it either. The Smithsonian doesn't have it. Johnson doesn't have it.
Right. We've been unable to track it down. I mean, we don't know where this telemetry data ended up. And
who would know? Why would anyone keep track of anything like that?
We don't know what path it may have taken. So, unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't really give you much of a clue as to where this data ended up and whether it still exists or not.
Here we are, 51 years later, and we can't go back to the moon. Do you guys believe that?
You know,
like I said, guys, this stuff is make-believe. Does anyone?
I did have the question. Why aren't we just landing? Well, we're gathering information before we land. Really? Why aren't we just landing? You know, massive upgrades in rocket technology, watching Tesla and reusing the fuselages. I don't know. In order to go back to the moon for NASA, it would mean that they actually had to go in the first place. The moon landing is like watching Teletubbies. They left the cameraman behind. Yeah, that's funny. Hello, I'm talking to you by telephone. How are you? How did you run the line? A Land Rover to Mars. Television. Anyway.
Does anyone...
Just walk down memory lane. All right, here's a horrible story. A drugged-up Wisconsin mom, according to the New York Post, allegedly stabbed her 14-year-old daughter to D. Then she told cops she did it to save the girl from Elon Musk. Thais Oninsky of the town of Turtle in Rock County called authorities on March 20 to confess as she K'd her daughter, Curran Rain, the night before, according to a criminal complaint. During the 13-minute call, she said she had acted to protect her from somebody else, later naming Musk as the perceived threat. We know a lot of Democrat voters are unwell. Chat guy says, yep, there's a Kamala voter. TDS is so real. Dems doing Dem things. This is the Trump derangement syndrome final boss. Going through the comments, drugs are bad. Democrats. Remember the No Kings March? We don't know that. That's the most liberal thing I've ever heard. I can hear her accent through this picture. What accent would she have? Guys, y'all know it's April 1st, right? I mean, yeah, but Oninsky and Rain? Come on. New York Post reporting. Here's one of these internet stories that you don't know if it's true. But I like it nonetheless. Ha! Woman follows her cat, who disappears every Sunday, and finds him quietly sitting in church. A woman in Savannah noticed that her cat, Deacon... Oh, come on. Let me ask Grok. You ask Grok too many things. I know I do. The cat's name is Deacon. Nah, it's not a real story. But the theory that a cat would leave at night and come back smelling like perfume. I had a cat. I had several cats that would be outdoor cats. Oh, David, you're bringing up something interesting. One excuse they used to say they needed to fake was they're aliens on the moon. Could this kick off Project Bluebeam? Could something occur on this Artemis flight? Footage retrieved. Oh, man. We shall see. Kenneth asks, didn't Trump say that good things will happen on April 2nd? I don't know. Anyway, I just like the story that a cat would go hang out in church. Pastor said the cat had been attending for about 2 months, never caused trouble. In fact, he joked the cat sits more quietly than some of the regular members. And the caption, it's Catholic. It's Catholic. All right, not a real story, but kind of funny. Oh, there's no video here? Okay, well, Benny Johnson, Matt Gaetz confirms to Benny Johnson, secret program where aliens are breeding with humans to make a hybrid race. That Patriot Mom, hey, so it's literally in the first book of the Bible. This isn't new information. Nephilim. Replace aliens with demons, and you're on the right track. April Fools. All right. Iran says it will bomb Palantir, Oracle, and other major Western firms, declaring them legitimate targets. I saw this story a bunch, but I don't know this outlet. And who is making the threats? The IRGC issued a direct threat March 31, April 1 against 18 specific U.S. companies, mostly tech, plus some defense and finance firms operating in the Middle East. IRGC claims the companies were involved in terrorist operations and assassinations in Iran, referencing U.S.-Israeli strikes and killings of Iranian figures. Accused the firms of providing ICT, AI, satellite, and targeting tech that helped those operations. Statement warned that for every assassination, an American company would be targeted in retaliation. The companies threatened, full list of 18 mentioned across reports, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, NVIDIA, Intel, IBM, Cisco, HP, Dell, Oracle, Palantir, Tesla, Boeing, JP Morgan Chase, GE, Spire Solution, Amazon. Threats set to begin 8 p.m. Tehran time, April 1. Specifically targeting U.S.-owned infrastructure, offices, and data centers in the Middle East. Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, UAE, the Gulf states, not facilities inside the U.S. Part of the ongoing escalation. No widespread strikes yet, but it's a serious escalation in rhetoric. Partly propaganda meant to deter further actions while raising risk for U.S. firms with regional presence. All right. Yep, New York Post reports this 83-year-old veteran randomly shoved onto the New York City subway tracks has passed from injuries, and an illegal migrant has been charged with the murder. Yeah, David, you either serve the light or the darkness. Situational awareness, people. Man, I shared a lot from the New York Post. Mount Everest guides have allegedly poisoned climbers as part of a sinister $20 million scam. Himalayas. Mount Everest guides allegedly secretly lacing tourist food to trigger costly helicopter rescues as part of a $20 million insurance scam, according to a new investigation. Police in Nepal have charged 32 individuals with organized crime and fraud charges related to the plot, which involves trekking company owners, helicopter operators, and hospital executives. Everything is a scam these days in the comments. Oh, man. So apparently all those people that were in great shape, they died on their way up to the top of the mountain, might not have really perished from exposure-related things? Oh, my gosh. I hadn't thought about that. Oh, yeah. It could be even worse. So there you go. Be careful of what you eat. Also, be careful on public transportation. Why do we have so many attacks on our transportation systems? A nearly complete mural of slain Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska in Providence is being removed after a Jewish mayor named Brett Smiley calls for it to be taken down. AF Post. The murder of the individual, in quotes, the murder of the individual depicted in this mural was a devastating tragedy, but the misguided, isolating intent of those funding murals like the one across the country is divisive and does not represent Providence, said Smiley. What? We're going to drop a comment. Complete the damned mural button. Unreal. Hodge twins reporting that Oregon has an insane peace act, sparking outrage. If passed, it would make it illegal to hunt or fish for food, even on your own property, and ban raising and slaughtering animals like chickens, rabbits, pigs, or cows for meat on your own land or farm. It would also restrict common livestock practices and pest control. Critics say it would lead to investigations and prosecutions of farmers and even small-scale backyard operations. One concerned resident warned they're going to raid all of our farmers and go after them because they're trying to quietly pass it and then make it where we all have to eat from the stores instead of farmers markets and stuff. It's extreme government overreach that threatens basic self-sufficiency and traditional rural life. Is this real? Peace Act. Let's see on Grok if I can find a story. Coming for your fishing license, your kids' fishing poles. Okay, Wall Street Apes reporting this. Okay. Could make killing animals illegal. Currently protecting hunting, fishing, farming. Appears to be a real story.
You say Lyme disease. You say Lyme.
A conversation about the U.S. force-feeding ticks bioweapons and then releasing them in Virginia and Montana.
Disease is a highly likely militarily engineered bioweapon.
I probably did say that.
Did you say that?
And that's what the developer of
I want all of
said.
our colleagues to hear it, Mr. Kennedy. I want them to hear it. Did you say that exposure to pesticides? Did you say Lyme disease is a highly likely?
Declassified documents and testimony highlighted Dr. Robert Malone revealing a chilling history of bioweaponization in U.S. soil between 66 and 69. Yeah, we've covered this. I've found some ticks lately, and I've never had ticks in my lifetime. Not a fan.
You say Lyme disease is...
Hey, check out moon footage from 1972 compared to 2023, by the way. There's music. Mute the music. You don't even think about muting music. Look how clear everything is in 1972, and look how grainy it is in 2023. How could that be? Stop. Really? One is actual film footage, as in feet of real film captured on site, brought back home, developed, and presented. The other is a slow-speed, long-distance stream of a real-time operation. They are not the same. That feels pretty accurate. Okay, Ron DeSantis. Well, let me work my way up from this story. Wall Street Journal, the Chinese billionaires having dozens of U.S.-born babies via surrogate. Geiger Capital says Chinese men are paying to have surrogate children on U.S. territorial islands in the Pacific. They pay to have babies born in the U.S. and then immediately ship them to China to be raised under the CCP. They then get American benefits and in a few years can vote in our elections and or run for president, by the way. Yeah. Geiger Capital, Chinese men. Ron DeSantis says the men who drafted the 14th Amendment, as well as members of the society who ratified it, would be shocked that their handiwork is being used as justification for this absurdity. Matt Walsh says the left's argument for birthright citizenship is obviously insane, but it's even more insane when you consider that they actually don't believe in your or my birthright. We are on stolen land and don't belong here, according to them. But the anchor baby, whose parents got here from Guatemala 10 seconds ago, has a birthright and is tied to this nation by blood for all time. That's actually their position. It's so psychotic that you can't even argue against it. Like trying to have a political debate with a dog. These people are not rational. We don't have a birthright to this nation. It's stolen land and we don't belong here. But if you're a Guatemalan anchor baby, shows up 10 seconds ago, you're tied but to this nation by blood for all of time. Oh, boy, oh boy. Matt Walsh. Because they're here from China. China. That's the previous story. Yeah, this was the post. I don't know how long this one is. We played it the other day. Oh, this is several different ones. Okay. Matt Gaetz says he was briefed by someone in a military uniform at the U.S. Army. Alien hybrid breeding. J.D. Vance tells Benny Johnson he thinks they're demons. They're not aliens. They're weird things out there that are very difficult to explain. VP says he's going to Area 51 with his top secret security clearance to find out. Anna Paulina Luna, Republican, says I wouldn't call them aliens. I really like what Grush calls them. Who's Grush? He says they're interdimensional beings. She also goes on to say, I have seen classified information on UFOs. We visited Eglin Air Force Base. Congressman Tim Burchett reveals that entities are coming from 5 to 6 deep water sites on Earth. Burchett has been involved in UFO and UAP exposure since 23. Senator Babbitt says, I wish I could say more, but unfortunately, everything I know about the alien hybrid program is classified. Let's just say some of you will be very surprised who's not entirely human. That's all I'm authorized to disclose at this time. What a psyop. A psyop of all psyops, maybe. Yeah, where do they get deported to? It's an interesting post. I think I should follow this account. Tell me in the comments, who would you guess might not be human? We've said that about Zuckerberg, right? Elon. Well, that's got to be a long list. Tell me in the comments, who would you guess is a hybrid? This feels like this isn't a real story as well. Oh, it is a real story. March 2026 in the Baltimore area, Baltimore County, referred to as Baltimore. Twitch streamer and hot dog food truck owner Musa Ura was live streaming when a man who appeared intoxicated stole about $30 from his tip jar while his back was turned. The theft was captured on the live stream. A couple days later, the thief's mother showed up at the food truck while Musa was live again. She personally apologized, insisted on repaying the exact $30, even though Musa initially said it wasn't necessary, and explained that her son struggles with alcohol, wasn't raised like that, and she had placed him in a treatment rehab facility for his drinking problem. She emphasized that the vendor was working hard to provide a service and didn't deserve to be stolen from. Okay, all right, it appears to be real. Let's watch it then.
Came to your stand and took tip jar. I'm his mother.
Oh!
How much did he take from you?
Like something I couldn't pay attention, like 20 to...
What do you think he took from you?
I see the first, I couldn't see the second is...
How much do you think he took from you?
About $30, I think. But you don't need to pay.
No, I'm gonna pay. Because my son wasn't raised like that.
Why he is doing that? I don't want to ask, but...
No. Listen to me. My son wasn't raised like that. My son drinks, and when he drinks, he does stupid stuff. I want to pay you back because you don't deserve to be stolen from. You're here to do a service. I appreciate it. He took it from your tip jar. $30 go back to your tip jar. God bless you.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I put my son in treatment. I pray he stay and get some help. But I want you to be okay.
Can I come and hug?
Of course.
Yes. You know, I am live streaming, people like sharing everything everywhere. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, guys, let me hug. I'm sorry. You know, I like peace. Yeah. Come here. Come here, guys. Look.
Yeah.
You're my mom too. You know.
Yes.
Yes.
I want you to be okay.
Please. I always love peace, respect, love. That's what I always say.
You do a good
I am
service.
sorry.
Keep on helping this community. God bless you.
Thank you. Good night, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
A little while ago.
Well, this lady, you know. This interaction gives us hope. Okay, real story. I feel like everyone like this, every story that's set up like this, it's got to be AI, it's got to be fake, but appears to be real.
He's not going to try.
All right, here's Bill O'Reilly trying to sum up on the Fly on the Wall podcast, Dana Carvey and David Spade, talking about President Trump, what he's trying to do and what he's not trying to do. It's interesting insight.
To run for a third term. This is all ridiculous. But you know what he'll do? And you guys will find this interesting. Every day Donald Trump wakes up for his 2 hours sleep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And his first thought is, how can I torture my enemies? So he says stuff just to get the View ladies upset.
It works.
Just to get Whoopi Goldberg
In a
agitated.
tizzy.
He loves it. Look at this reaction. Look at MSNBC. They're setting themselves on fire. Yes. And now I'm going to say this.
No.
He doesn't do any of it. He didn't like Trudeau.
Yeah.
Trudeau is a little nebbish to
Mhm.
him. And
Got
now
it.
but you got to give Trudeau, he's running around Katy Perry. That's not bad. Okay. He didn't like Trudeau at all.
Not bad.
So he goes,
Right.
how can I annoy Trudeau? I'm taking it over. And
Of course. Boom.
Okay, he's not going to try.
There might be some truth.
He's not going to try to run.
Why do I think women shouldn't? Why do I think?
This lady's getting a lot of press. I think she's married to that other guy. Is it Andrew Wilson? This shared on Wall Street Apes. Rachel Wilson explaining how women have been used politically to do what?
I think women shouldn't vote. If women didn't vote anymore, we would never have another Democrat president. We would never have another Democrat Senate, and we would never have another Democrat Congress.
You're right. You're right, Rachel. You're
so that's
absolutely
one
right.
of the reasons that because of the values I hold, which are actually a lot more conservative, even though I don't like the term, I'm a patriarchist, I'm an Orthodox Christian, I would be a monarchist if I could. But if we care about the things we say we care about, like small government, letting women vote ensures you will never have that again. The reason the 19th Amendment was passed was because the progressive era liberals wanted to pass the income tax.
To pass the income tax. What a wow.
They wanted to pass the Federal Reserve Act. They wanted a nanny state with welfare. And
1913. When was suffrage?
And they wanted pro-immigration, open borders. And they knew that if you only let men vote, you're never going to get that agenda passed. The whole progressive agenda would have never been passed without women voting.
That's a wild way to look at it. Ratified 1920. And so it was 1913, 7 years before, that they passed the ADL, the income tax, the private banking cartel known as the Federal Reserve.
If what you care about is keeping this conservative agenda that you say you want for us and the social and fiscal conservatism, the fastest way to ensure that you never get that passed is letting women vote.
Yes, Rachel, that is factually correct. That is factually correct because most women vote left wing, right?
Why do I think women?
Correct. Rome has a proposal. Repeal the 19th and women don't have to pay income tax at the federal and state level. This would reverse the 55-year-old devaluation of our fiat dollar, they say. Glydia says, I would gladly give up my right to vote to have a safe, well-ordered society.
Why do I think women shouldn't vote?
I don't know why it has to be one or the other, but my goodness. All right, what's this post? Kangmin Lee. Zach says, all immigrants are not created equal. You know this. Everyone knows this, but you continue to play this dishonest game. Kangmin Lee says, Overton window has been shattered. We are winning. Keep pushing. Heritage Foundation posted, we have a legal immigration problem. By the way, Kangmin Lee is a recently arrived legal immigrant to the United States who says, yeah, America is for Americans. In the same way I wouldn't want tens of millions of foreigners flooding Korea and demographically replacing Koreans, Americans have every right to stop the invasion, turning this country into a third world hellhole. As a legal immigrant, I can see that, and I make no apologies for not wanting millions of Mohammeds and Indias to roam America, shooting up bars and stabbing women on bus stops, legal or illegal. Immigration without assimilation is just an invasion. I've said that a ton of times. You have not assimilated, says Micah to Kangman. You do not believe in separation of church and state. You supported the authoritarian coup attempt that occurred in your country as it was occurring. You are an enemy of our Constitution and Enlightenment values. Kangman says there's no such thing as separation of church and state. No one believed in that. No one believed in that in American history until recently. Also, you know nothing of Korean politics, so I suggest you stop speaking out of your ass. You're embarrassing yourself. 21st century liberalism is not American values. The founding fathers would be appalled to see how you so enthusiastically advocate to mutilate children and flood America with third worlders. Micah responds. So interesting interaction because we're all talking about immigration now. No one thinks that all legal immigrants are the same. On balance, legal immigrants are good for America, but there certainly are exceptions. My view? We should take in more people who love America, will assimilate, and will be net contributors to our society. And we should stop taking in people who fail to meet those criteria. Kangman replies, your entire side hates America and doesn't contribute to society. Your silence about the stabbings, rapes, fraud, and from migrants in the West tells us everything we need to know. Elon calls it common sense. A simple test for immigrants is, would you enjoy working them? If so, they would be an asset to America. Would you enjoy working them? Working for them? With them? It's amazing how much leftist discourse is just them pretending not to understand things, thus making discourse impossible. Yeah, Koreans are some of the best immigrants. Remember the rooftop Koreans? That one right there, the rooftop Koreans in Los Angeles during the Rodney King riots. Oh, okay, so that was Asmongold coming to defend him on X when liberal Micah Efron tried to claim as an illegal immigrant, I cannot be in favor of mass deportations or halting immigration. Even Elon Musk tuned into the discourse. All right, Kangman Lee, we covered your story because it was interesting.
The propaganda is
Victoria Brooke, we share a lot of her posts, her threads on the show. Don't listen to her very much, but here she is talking about the controlled media.
Propaganda are the podcasters, and it's ironic because I'm sitting on a set right now, but I, for the longest time, have avoided saying my opinions. Most of my content is just fact-based. It's just giving you the raw story. I've had many opinions. In fact, the people that know me in real life know I'm very opinionated, but I recognize the fact you have so many people spewing their opinions all the time. And I felt like once Charlie died, that there was a big void that was left, and people have to kind of step in who I feel are voice of reasons, and honestly, I'm one of them. So, but I do think that a lot of the podcasters have become the mainstream media, and the funding is going there as well. So, for example, Candace Owens was funded by Oracle, which, by the way, Jews, but she claims to be against them, but go find it. She was funded by Oracle. So I'm only saying this to explore the option that not everyone who just has a podcast, the propaganda are the podcast.
Instagram, can you just put these
things that I'm Travis
told if he doesn't want to
follow though that
people believe is interesting is that
it's a wide-ranging interview. Tucker Carlson's dad was CIA. Tucker approached to be in the CIA. Sean Ryan, former CIA. Joe Kent, former CIA. Very interesting. It's almost like a beehive. Everyone's swarming together. Whenever I see something like that happening, regardless of my opinion, I sense that there is more going on.
To see
claims made in the DC intel community that Joe Kent was to be terminated for engaging with a junior level FBI agent about the Epstein investigation outside the chain of command and outside of his designated role of responsibility.
People believe is
follow though.
Coordinated color revolution against Trump that began in 2020, created by insurgents who claim to be conservative.
If he doesn't want to, told, and
travesties and all.
It's our moral obligation and responsibility to do our own research and find multi-source, non-biased
things that I always.
Well, look, I've enjoyed sharing her stuff. I do enjoy just kind of just give me the stories. You know, I'll add some commentary, some additional questions. There's definitely a market for that.
The propaganda.
The big one.
UFO expert Stephen Greer warning about rogue actors inside the government. What are they planning?
The big one would be this, what Werner von Braun warned about on his deathbed. He said, he said, we are going to hoax an alien attack on the planet. It's all a lie, but it will trick and fool almost everyone. So we're trying to expose that. But see, if this festers much longer with that group that have the technologies I'm talking about, in a minute, they could stage this and it would fool. Well, it had. I mean, look at what they've been doing for decades, fooling everyone. Everyone thinks, oh, those are alien events. And, you know, our military guys chasing these objects thinks those are military, right? But they're not. I mean, are alien. They're military or covert aerospace programs. So the ability to hoax an attack on our planet is real. And
what would be the goal in them doing that, staging a, you know, really false alien attack on the entire world? What would they accomplish?
They want to unite the world around a military junta, a totalitarian system. And how do you do that? You know, how do you get one race or one ethnicity or one nation to stop fighting with each other? You create a bigger problem up there and it unites everyone against a common enemy. But in that uniting of the world in war instead of peace, they can then exert all manner of totalitarian controls. That has been a 70-year plan. I have a CIA document from 1953 or 54 stating that they can use the UFO issue to great advantage for its, quote, psychological warfare value. So once they got close and mastered the technology in the mid-50s, and they knew they were close to that in 53, 54, then what has happened is that they've started a long-term program to brainwash the public that there's a threat out there. Now, the question is, will they brainwash President Trump and other people? We're providing the information we have, but there are some devils on these deep state operations around the president, giving him the opposite perspective. So this is getting into like, well, which of these narratives is it going to be the true narrative or the false flag narrative? And when you have someone like the president who's very busy, and you have to do a one-sheeter for him, and he's doing a million things a day, it's very easy for people who are in the system he trusts, who are actually foxes in the henhouse, who are bad actors, for him to take their advice. The big one would be this, what Werner von Braun warned about on his deathbed. He said, he said, we are going to hoax an alien attack on the planet. It's all a lie, but it will trick and fool almost everyone. So we're trying to expose that. But see, if this festers much longer with that group that have the technologies I'm talking about,
Okay. Are we going to buy the alien invasion? Feels inevitable. It's been a slow rollout. Are we buying it? David doesn't trust him. I feel like I've heard Mike Barra say the same thing about Greer, but I could be wrong. We'll probably have another Strictly Football show coming up closer to the NFL draft. Look forward to that. He was interesting once. Well, Blue Beam is one of my
big one
projects. One of my top topics of interest to study, to follow, to game plan, to strategize. So, like, what if an event is staged? What could it look like? What would the ask be? What would they try to accomplish with that? I have thoughts. I have concerns. I have wonder. Anyway, of course, yesterday, NASA heads back to the moon on April Fool's Day.
Good one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to do it on April Fool's Day would get you thinking. Regardless. All right. I'm thinking that it's time to bounce over to our X feed. Of course, this is the New American Media. Please consider subscribing on Patreon, Rumble, YouTube. You can do like, I think for as low as $5 a month on Rumble and YouTube, and as low as like $10 a month. It's like $5 a post or something on Patreon. So sign up, set it and forget it. I did look at the generous donations from September through today. And in those 7 months, we did pay for, through the YouTube remonetization efforts, we paid for the year of Restream service. So that's good. Some landmarks are being set. Some accomplishments are being achieved. It's all crucial. Brand new month, brand new numbers. We keep monthly tabs on how we're doing. Are we trending upward? Are we trending downward? It's all important. So please consider supporting and subscribing to the New American Media on Patreon, on Rumble, and on YouTube. Of course, you have the tip jars. You can do PayPal. That's fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com. I don't have it scrolling at the bottom of the screen. I thought I did. Or I'm just so used to it being there, I forgot that it wasn't. You can do Cash App or Venmo. That's just my name, Brian Engelman. Easy enough. And yeah, Rumble, Rant, and Super Chat tips into the tip jar. I bartend here every day at noon, and if you have a good time, tip your bartender. I don't do ad reads, and I don't take funding to push narratives. I sort of do my own thing, but that requires, your support. So thank you, everybody who has, and thank you, everybody who will. But yes, check out our X account over here at American_media_. That Patreon link I discussed, it's pinned right there at the top of the screen for you to watch. Okay, here's Oregon in their proposed new legislation.
Proposed ballot measure in Oregon is sparking backlash as it could make hunting, fishing, and farming illegal. If passed, the measure would remove exemptions for animal cruelty laws, which currently protects hunting, fishing, farming, and if removed, it could make killing animals illegal in many cases, including hunting, fishing, and livestock slaughter. But the measure's 100,000 supporters argue the bill would modernize wildlife policy and reduce animal suffering. And those are your headlines, guys. Wow, how about that? Unintended consequences? I think not.
Yeah, I mean, just another reason to leave one of those crazy states. I mean, what are they doing?
You know, I did cover this last week. I remember this moment.
Right.
Flee blue cities, flee blue states.
We gotta be kidding.
Brian, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. Worked that bad? I mean, think about that.
Wasn't expecting that.
Right.
Sorry, kids.
Right.
That is the technical term.
We apologize. No regrets.
Proposed.
All right. What's this chick's take?
Okay, if you live in Oregon, listen to this or not, but they're trying to pass a law right now where you cannot hunt, fish, or raise animals on your own land to eat because of animal cruelty. Again, this is the second time this...
And no, David, I said Project Blue Beam, not Project Booby, but thank you for that.
This law has come into pass. They're trying to get it passed. In Oregon, if you are a farmer and
if you live out there, you pronounce it Oregon, not Oregon, Oregon.
You have land where you have rabbits and chickens and all that, you will not be able to eat them.
Can't eat the food that you farm.
They will make a law. If this passes, you cannot hunt, fish, or raise animals to eat on your property because of animal cruelty.
Where does the food come from? I would much rather go to a local farmer.
So again, if you're in Oregon and you love to fish, you're still gonna have to have a license to fish on your own property.
A license to fish on your own property? You miss me with that.
If they pass this law.
Oh my God, no.
Just saying. And if they do pass this, then they're going to raid all of our farmers.
Yeah, you raid the farmers next. Seize the land.
And go after them because they're trying to quietly pass it. And then make it where we all have to eat from the stores.
Yeah. Goy slop at the stores, some people call it. The Franken food, the fake food.
Instead of...
You want to eat healthy, you're supposed to eat kosher. That's just regular ingredients, people. That is a pro-Jewish food advertisement. No goy slop in the kosher food. Real ingredients.
Farmers markets and stuff. So, if you're in Oregon, just so you know, you can listen to me or not, it's up to you. But...
All right.
So I'm out here at Cleveland Rapids right now, and this is a very popular fishing spot. You know, I just came out here with my dog to relax. And there are families out here fishing right now. If IP28 is passed, relaxing days like this will be taken away. And I know it doesn't mean much to people. It means a lot to the families that come out here and spend quality family time, not in front of a TV screen, out here in the nature that God has given us. Even most of the fishermen and their families are updated about IP28. And talking with the family out here, even a father was like, they can't take away my freedom. It's sad that families now have to worry about their freedom to provide food for their family is going to be taken away. And as you could see, this is a very beautiful fishing spot. So
you gotta pass voter oversight laws. I'm just not convinced that these states are as heavily blue as they vote. I just think that they've rigged the systems. They've set up the mail-in ballots and the automated systems. They deliver votes and they put candidates in place. But how could this represent an Oregonian? Yeah, you have some progressive blue cities, but outside of that, you do not. People are not on board with any of this stuff. Anyway. So the Colorado Appeals Court has thrown out Tina Peters' 9-year prison sentence. Trial court violated her free speech rights. So the 9-year prison term has been ordered to be resentenced, Shelley Bradbury writes. District Court judge to resentence. Panel of 3 judges found the original judge wrongly based part of the sentence on Peters' exercise of her right to free speech, according to a 78-page opinion released Thursday. Denver Post says the Colorado Court of Appeals threw out the 9-year sentence for discredited elections clerk Tina Peters on Thursday and ordered that she be resentenced by a district court judge. We're under hostile occupation says discredited. You're nothing but disgusting propagandist hacks. Yeah, that's not a word you're supposed to use there. The researcher says Tina Peters should be released, not resentenced. If we had a competent attorney general, Norm Eisen and his proxy, Jenna Griswold, would be under investigation as the Tina Peters case was part of Norm's coordinated lawfare strategy. Agreed. Court upheld her convictions, but found that the original judge wrongly based part of the sentence on Peters' exercise of her right to free speech. And this is a lady that thought she identified election fraud. This wasn't someone committing election fraud. This was someone reporting on it. What is the latest with the Hormuz Strait? Yeah, that's a good question. Depends who you ask. Here, let's ask Grok. doomers are going to say that now Iran has more control of it than ever. Heavily disrupted 20% of global oil and liquid natural gas shipments under partial Iranian blockade since late February in retaliation for strikes that began February 28. Maritime traffic has dropped sharply from 153 vessels per day to a trickle, with many ships stranded or loitering. Iran has conducted or threatened attacks on vessels, 20 reported incidents roughly since March. Damage to tankers and one seafaring death. Tehran is reportedly enforcing a selective toll booth system, charging ships reportedly up to $2 million in some cases for safe passage, while denying or restricting access to those linked to the U.S., Israel, or adversaries. Ships from certain neutral or negotiating countries, from the Philippine-flagged vessels, have been allowed through after talks. Iran and Oman are drafting a protocol to monitor traffic, framed by Iranian media as a safety measure, but viewed skeptically amid tensions. President Trump said in a national address, the strait will open up naturally once the war with Iran ends. Urged oil-dependent nations, especially Gulf states, to take the lead or just take it, and suggested gas prices would drop rapidly afterward. He conditioned any ceasefire on the strait being open, free, and clear, while noting Iran's military capabilities have been significantly degraded. Analysts interpret this as the U.S. pushing responsibility onto allies rather than committing major direct naval intervention. Russia mocked the U.S. position, claiming that the U.S. military has failed to reopen the waterway despite its power. Some reports indicate that the strait is open for Russian operations. Crude oil, $110 a barrel in spots. Global energy prices elevated. Full normalization could take 6 to 8 weeks or longer after reopening. Mixed signals from the Gulf states. France's Macron calls a military operation to liberate the strait unrealistic. China-Pakistan call for peace talks and normal navigation. Iran maintains leverage through its control over the choke point, while international efforts focus on a mix of coalition building, pressure, and potential escorted transits. Oil markets and shipping insurance remain highly sensitive to any new attacks or breakthroughs. There you go. I think that's kind of like the neutral way to describe it. And with more warships, I think we have 3 of them right in the region now. And Marines being called. Are they going after Karg Island to actually take it? It would be tough because that whole area would just be easily targeted, some might say. And some are even claiming that needs to be just declared international water, that nobody can maintain it. Remember that big snafu trying to get the Panama Canal opened up? Management transferred away from Chinese interests to American interests. We will see how Iran shakes out. All right. CNN takes a look at the view of Democrats. How do you think they're being viewed overall, and how are Democrats being viewed specifically by Democrats?
These numbers are just atrociously awful. A double A for the Democrats here. I mean, just take a look here. Congressional Dems have the right priorities. Look at this. Overall, 74%, nearly 3 in 4.
I tell you, this is a 75% nation. We are not 50-50. We are not 45-55. We are 75-25. Common sense, crazy. There's more of us than there are of them.
They know just 25% overall say yes. You might say, okay, well, at least Dems like Democrats. Not the case. Look at this. The majority of Democrats are independents who lean Democrats. Look at this. 55% say no, congressional Democrats do not have the right priorities. And then you just see a minority, 45% of Democrats say that congressional Democrats have the right priorities. This to me just jumps out at the screen because it screams primary challenges all over the map. These numbers are just atrociously awful. A double A for the Democrats here. I mean, just take a look here. Congressional Dems have the right priorities. Look at this. Overall, 70.
Democrats don't have primaries and elections the way normal people do. You watched how Kamala was selected, not elected. Christopher Rufo pointing out in the failed state of California, says multiple senior HHS officials estimate that under Gavin Newsom, California's state Medicaid program has lost 25% of its budget to fraud. 25% is fraud. This would mean it's currently losing $50 billion a year to scammers, fraudsters, and organized crime rings. Even Elon has to just say, wow. Yeah, Tina Peters, let this lady out. Isn't she fighting cancer as well? All right, let's check in on Virginia. Oh, what a mess with this Abigail person.
Abigail Spanberger is under some growing pressure to honor ICE detainers. This as her state of Virginia reels from a string of murders tied to illegal immigrants. That includes an illegal immigrant from Guatemala charged with killing his 3-month-old daughter. Another Guatemalan immigrant who entered the country as a godaway is charged with stabbing a man to death. And an illegal immigrant from Sierra Leone with more than 24 prior arrests is charged with fatally stabbing a woman at a bus stop. Paul Morrow is here with us now. Here's what she said on February 4th, just after she got inaugurated, about ICE.
On the first day in office, I
How has she not been recalled?
Repealed and pulled back from what had been my predecessor's Executive Order 47, which mandated the work of Virginia state law enforcement agencies with ICE, taking Virginia law enforcement state agency personnel and basically giving them over to ICE is something that ends today.
How's that worked out?
Why?
Yeah, not too well, quite obviously. Look, nobody can be surprised by this. This has been the tenor of things, particularly in Fairfax County. Let's expand the footprint here a little bit. You have the DA there for Fairfax County, a guy named Steve Toscano, who ran on being soft on crime.
What a mess, Virginia. This thing was close. Elections have consequences. Yeah, you honor ICE detainers. By the way, Raiders football team is signing Kirk Cousins, in case you were curious. This can't be true.
File item 186, AB 1052 by Assemblymember Valencia. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1052 by Assemblymember Valencia, an act relating to digital assets.
Assemblymember Valencia, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, muy buenas tardes, members. AB 1052 will establish a legal framework to legitimize digital assets, also known as cryptocurrency and blockchain, and unclaimed property law. California must protect consumer assets and embrace the legal recognition of digital assets, crypto, and blockchain as we continue to modernize our economy and the systems in our society. With that, I respectfully ask for a yes vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Valencia. All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 69, no 0. The measure passes.
The claim here, I can't get out of this loop. California passed a bill to seize Bitcoin left idle on exchanges. Is this real? What? The core fact in the post is real, but the framing is straightforward theft is exaggerated, missing key details. October 25, signed into law by Newsom. Digital financial assets held in custodial accounts on exchanges or platforms. After 3 years of inactivity, no active ownership interests, such as logging in, buying, selling, depositing, or withdrawing, and failed attempts by the exchange to contact the owner, the assets are treated as unclaimed and transfer the crypto in original form, not sold or liquidated immediately to the California State Controller's Office. The state holds it like dormant stocks or bank accounts, and you and your heirs can still reclaim it at any time with no expiration by proving ownership through the state's unclaimed property process. This is not new for other assets. California and most states have long applied similar rules to forgotten bank accounts, uncashed checks, stocks, etc. This just closes the gap for crypto, which previously had unclear treatment. It's not permanently confiscating it. It becomes the custodian for truly abandoned and dormant property, just like it does for other forgotten assets. Not your keys, not your coins. Okay. Should have self-custody, have a hardware wallet that you control. Yep. Had I done that, I would still have my half a coin. So Pam Bondi has been fired, according to a report from Ford Fisher. Shared the NBC News article saying Trump fires Pam Bondi as Attorney General, sources say. Garrett Hawk, Monica Alba, and Gabe Gutierrez say senior administration official and source familiar with the matter tells NBC News. Trump grew more frustrated with Bondi in recent days. He likes her as a person, but doesn't think she's executed on his vision the way that he wants. Todd Blanche will be the acting attorney general effective immediately. Bondi's long ties to Trump. She was part of Trump defense team during his first impeachment trial. Bondi traveled with President Trump to the Supreme Court for oral arguments on the birthright citizenship case. She attended his primetime address at the White House on the Iran war. Where are the indictments? This is insane. All right. Well, there you have it. And yeah, this was Zero Hedge reported the president has informed Bondi her time as AG is nearing an end. James Madison wrote in 1787, if a foreign-born man should stealeth my wallet, he hath proven his allegiance to this land and is therefore an American. That's an interesting quote. Because they're making fun of Ketanji Brown Jackson saying that. Reminder, 1 year ago, Austin Metcalf was killed in cold blood by Carmelo Anthony. What a piece of garbage. Austin Metcalf. At a track meet. There's security footage of the attack and it still hasn't seen the light of day. It's time. Spaceballs, the X account says, now that Artemis 2 has launched, we have 10 days to get everyone on Earth. There we go. 10 days to get everyone on Earth into a Planet of the Apes costume so we can do something hilarious when the astronauts return. You, damn you to hell. Dinesh D'Souza says, I'm really, really excited. I hear Candace Owens has a new bombshell investigation proving not merely that the Artemis 2 mission to reach the moon is a fake, but also that the moon itself is a fake. The moon does not exist, folks. Hard evidence coming soon. Dominic Michael Trippi says, new, Trump is considering firing Tulsi Gabbard. This would be horrendous. Laura Loomer says, I told you, Tulsi Gabbard will leave, and then there's going to be a big shakeup at the DOJ. ODNI and AG will be changing leadership soon. Sources tell me ODNI is first, then AG. Tulsi had a meeting with the president, as I previously reported. She was condemned for not defending him during her Senate hearing, and it was determined that she needs to leave. She will be leaving soon. I personally don't think she deserves the dignity of a resignation, but she is either resigning or she will be fired. Keep your eyes peeled. Senate Republicans say Senate Democrats have done more to make life easier for criminal illegal aliens than they've done for Americans. True. Interview at the No Kings rally. The liberal says Trump acts like a king. Interviewer, name one thing that makes you think that he acts like a king. Liberal says, there are a million of them. Okay, just name one or two, says the interviewer. Liberal, I can't think of none right now. Just a reminder, dashcam video shows this Uber passenger, Calvin Crew, booked the ride on his girlfriend's phone. The driver, Christina Spicuza, wife and mother of 4, begs for her life. I have 4 kids. He shoots her anyway, dumps the body, tries to steal from her accounts. Sentenced to life in prison without parole. Man, oh man. An angry white lady. I don't feel safe in my own neighborhood. You literally voted for this. Let's hear about 61-year-old Christine Jones up in Madison.
From the legacy media, a 61-year-old woman in Madison, Wisconsin, gunned down cold blood while walking into work.
Yeah, she was allegedly targeted by a former co-worker with a grudge and a political vendetta. Our crime correspondent Jason Matera here with the details.
Yeah, Carl Charlo, once you hear these details, it'll be pretty clear why the so-called mainstream media isn't exactly rushing to cover this one. So Diamond Wallace, she's going to be shown here, is set to make her next court. There she is, set to make her next court appearance on April 1st. She's being held on a $2 million bond, facing a first-degree murder charge in the killing of Christine Jones, a 61-year-old hotel employee in Madison, Wisconsin. Police say this attack unfolds on March 22nd. Jones parks her car in the hotel garage and starts to head for the entrance a little before 8 a.m. Authorities say at this point, surveillance video shows someone running up behind Jones, and seconds later, she's on the ground, shot in the back and pronounced dead at the scene. The accused killer, Diamond Wallace, who also went by the name St. Laurel Vargas, wasn't a total stranger. She apparently worked at the same hotel as the victim and starts to head for the entrance a little before 8 a.m. Authorities say at this point, surveillance video shows someone running up behind Jones, and seconds later, she's on the ground, shot a total stranger. She apparently worked at the same hotel as the victim, but was fired last year. Yet this attack doesn't appear to be simply a workplace grudge, but a political targeting as well. According to the criminal complaint, Diamond Wallace had expressed animosity towards the victim, Jones, because she was a Trump supporter.
Scott Adams says Trump supporters will be hunted by Democrats. Man, was he right.
Court records also indicate that Jones had a Trump hat visible in her vehicle, something police had discovered after her body was found. This shooting is now at the center of a larger debate over left-wing political violence. The Dane County GOP says city leaders there have turned Madison, Wisconsin into a hostile place for anyone who doesn't fall in line with leftist orthodoxy.
Yeah.
There's a fair amount of political violence that has taken place here. A lot of our people are very scared of what's going on in Dane County and in Madison. And we don't hold events in downtown Madison for this precise reason. And you never know what's going to happen. To say that they're scared is an understatement.
What makes this alleged murder even worse is that Diamond Wallace, or St. Laurel Vargas, whatever her name is, wasn't even supposed to have a gun. She's apparently a convicted felon, yet somehow police say she got her hands on a .380 and allegedly used it to execute a former coworker, a woman that she reportedly despised for supporting Donald Trump. And the coverage of this attack, aside from a few local outlets, has been practically non-existent.
And how many attacks do you think people want to commit and they just talk themselves out of? That's the seething rage they hold in their heart.
Surprise, surprise.
Weird. All the gun laws didn't stop a bad guy from getting a gun.
And why haven't we heard about this at all? Someone guns down someone because they have a MAGA hat in their car?
Just flip the roles real quick.
Yeah.
A white Trump supporter, God forbid, ever shot a black Democrat. Wall to wall, you'd have BLM march all over again.
Yeah, but this is the first that we're hearing about this. All right, Jason, thank you.
Well, then. Black woman murders white conservative. No coverage. Very little coverage. Democrat violence toward conservatives needs to be considered racial hate crimes, political hate crimes. Right Angle News reporting this insanity.
First count, murder in the first degree.
Not guilty. Not guilty of murder in the first degree. New York City jury refuses to hand a unanimous murder verdict to Guy Rivera in the killing of an NYPD officer, Jonathan Giller, and instead convicts him of a lesser charge of aggravated manslaughter. Guilty. The NYC jury is not protecting the cops, protecting the bad guys again. Enoch Burke's mother and sister have been arrested and jailed by the Guardiai at the prison after visiting jailed schoolteacher Enoch Burke, their son and brother. Sentenced to 2 weeks in prison after they spoke out against his lies, Judge Brian Cregan's lies and unlawful actions in the case of Enoch Burke. This is insane. Get these guys out. The whole family. The Guardiai were waiting outside to arrest them. Burke was taken from his teaching post at Wilson's Hospital School and thrown into a jail cell. He refused to call the student by a new name and a they pronoun. 600 days in prison because he won't refer to one person as multiple people or brand new name changes. Ireland's church leaders maintain a treacherous silence on this issue. Archbishops Eamon Martin and John McDowell speak frequently about battlefields far away, Gaza, Ukraine, Middle East, but are silent on the battlefields of the schools of Ireland. On their own doorstep, children in the classroom are being educated in every form of sexual perversion. Martina and Amy Burke have now been sent to Mountjoy Women's Prison because they refuse to be silent in the face of gross injustice from the bench. Parents, rise up and speak out for your sons and daughters. 37 million views. This is coming everywhere if we don't fucking stop it. Do you get that? That's why this shit matters.
David Martin, John McDowell, mention Castlereagh Prison where you go, or Docus. Have you stopped?
Be careful. Careful of the step there.
Jeez. When exposing a crime is treated as committing a crime, you are ruled by criminals. Welcome to authoritarianism, Ireland. Kevin Dalton says, just picked up my son from elementary school, and I was blown away that 0 parents or kids were aware of the Artemis 2 launch. Have we lost complete interest in space travel?
Back in Artemis 1, when we had 35 to 40 cutouts. For that reason, because of these 156 cutouts, they're going to be managing the launch window at an orbit than there were.
Well, we went live and covered it because I think it's cool. Justice Amy Coney Barrett is skeptical of striking down birthright citizenship because the application would be messy. Yeah, well, right is right, messy or not. Come on, Amy, don't let us down here. Of course it'll be messy, but it's messier leaving things go. Check out yesterday's program about the Artemis 2 moon launch, Pelosi signaling a Dem midterm cheating plan, and the ballroom bunker building blocked. Why is the 25th Amendment trending? So President Trump gave a speech yesterday. The world listened to Trump's speech and hit the sell button. Asian markets cratered overnight. Japan down 1.4%, South Korea down 2.6%. Oil surging back above 105 after briefly dipping on peace hopes. Gold and silver collapsing as safe haven trades unwind. Gas crosses $4 a gallon for the first time since Russia invaded Ukraine. Diesel at $5.50. Oil futures posted their largest monthly dollar gain in history, up 51% in March alone. Oil executives warning that physical crude is even more expensive than futures suggest. Trump promised 2 to 3 more weeks. Markets heard more bombing and priced accordingly. The 2-day rally that preceded the speech evaporated in 19 minutes. The energy shock is spreading beyond fuel into aluminum, fertilizer, helium, and semiconductor supply chains. Traders are repricing inflation assumptions in real time. The speech was supposed to calm the world. Instead, it reminded everyone that the president who says the war is almost over just threatened to send Iran back to the Stone Age. Well, great. Checking in with the Supreme Court, Stephen Miller lays it out perfectly.
Minnesotan who works as a lineman or works as a construction worker, works in any job that requires hard work, dedication, focus, who's worried about his ability to support for and provide his family. And then imagine that he has a neighbor who's a Somali refugee who arrived 2 years ago and has a Mercedes and no financial stress and no worries at all in the entire world and never seems to ever go to work at all, because he just went to an office in the state, lied on a piece of paper, and got unlimited free money forever for life. That is the system that is being run, and that is the corruption that this task force, under the leadership of the vice president, is going to demolish. And I'll just give...
Well, fingers crossed on that. Colonel Towner Watkins shared this. I found it interesting. Hypothetically, if someone off the street comes up to you and says, I want to commit murder, traffic drugs, and buy a military to do that so that I can steal everyone's shit, but I need you to pay for it, what would you say? No. He then says you have to, or I will kidnap you and throw you in a cell where others will do all sorts of horrendous things to you. He says the protection will cost you 25% of everything you earn for the rest of your life. The deal is that if you pay it, he will protect you and your family from all the chaos they're about to release. You really don't have a choice because a few of your neighbors have been very publicly kidnapped and you never heard from them again. So you pay the protection. But after a few months, you have a niece that overdoses on the drugs they were supposed to keep away from those protected people. You have a brother shot in a robbery and killed. You look around and begin to realize you've been participating in the world's largest crime. While many of us believe this describes America today, let me add another aspect to it. Federal grants. Federal grants. Major grants. The U.S. government is extorting or stealing your money via taxes. The mafia dons send their mafia lawyers to meet up and create edicts, federal laws. They publish the list of demands, use the money they extorted from you to pay another set of local mafia lawyers regionally. States, they call them block grants. When a state has to be paid money extorted from its citizens, laundered through the federal government to comply with a federal law, you no longer have a republic, you have a crime scene. It's a racket. This is done on education, voting, criminal justice. It's constitutional suicide and was all constructed slowly on purpose to collapse our republic. Let that sink in. Today, it is possible for a state to opt out of all federal funding in education and to do whatever they want to, but by doing so, they forfeit their citizens' extortion money, taxes. Some states did this with OSHA and opted to have a state one. Several states opted out of enforcing immigration and federal immigration law and honoring ICE retainers. They ignored federal law in issuing CDLs, and notice what happened: the threat to withhold your extorted taxes. The mafia that set this up banked on gradualism and no one noticing. The only answer I see is returning to the original Constitution and its intent, which was blown up in the early 1900s. American truckers reporting illegal alien truck driver caught with $4 million in drugs in Saline County, Arkansas, the very county whose representatives tried to legalize illegal alien truckers. Significant narcotic seizure on Interstate 30. Elon says, well, hold on. Nayib Bukele says checks and balances don't truly exist unless the judicial branch can also be checked and balanced. El Salvador lawmakers sack a top prosecutor and judges. Elon says the only way to restore rule of the people in America is to impeach judges. No one is above the law, including judges. That's what it took to fix El Salvador. Same applies to America. Bukele also chimes in, if you don't impeach the corrupt judges, you cannot fix the country. They will form a cartel, a judicial dictatorship, and block all reforms, protecting the systemic corruption that put them in their seats.
And lift off. 10, 9, 8, 7. RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And lift off. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Or none of this happened.
Roll pitch. Roger, roll pitch.
Houston now controlling the flight of Integrity on the Artemis 2 mission around the moon.
I don't know what that started.
AMT high.
AMT high. On time passing 30 seconds on the takeoff flights. Integrity passes the alternate beacon. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston saying good performance.
I think it's super cool.
Engines, Space Launch System core stage. Integrity 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more
I'm a
than
core
200
nerd.
miles per hour.
Artemis 2. Clash report says IDF announces the killing of a soldier in Lebanon, Sergeant somebody from New Haven, Connecticut. You hold U.S. citizenship and swear an oath to a foreign country and join their military? Any country? Colonel Towner Watkins, where's the line? A first-generation Russian U.S. citizen allowed to go enlist in Russia's army and fight against Ukraine, while the U.S. is sending money to Ukraine to fight against Russia? It gets real convoluted. ABC News said the Trump administration must restore the legal status of potentially hundreds of thousands of immigrants who came to the United States legally through a Biden-era pathway, a federal judge ruled Tuesday. Yeah. I'm Liberty says, I'm past the point of wanting to deport the illegals. I want to deport the people who want them here too. Jesse Kelly says, Nayib Bukele didn't save El Salvador because he arrested the criminals. He saved it because he removed the judges. Communist judges are the sword and shield of the communist revolution here in America. Removing them is everything. Good point. I will make one more pitch and let people know if you are enjoying the show, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, keep your comments rolling, your questions, your comments, your jokes. If you enjoy the Daily Show Monday through Friday at noon Eastern Time, consider signing up to be a monthly patron, a monthly Rumble supporter, or a monthly YouTube supporter. And if you want to just throw something in the tip jar, it is Rumble Rants activated, Super Chat activated. And you can also, so you just click a button and drop something into the collection plate at church, if you will, the tip jar at the bar. And then Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, scrolling at the bottom if anybody wants to make a donation that way. Thank you to everybody who has. They are all appreciated and they're all needed. Yeah, Nimbus has been doing better. But I do have to run up to the vet. It's just everything's intermingled. all the big expenses, they all apply. So they're all appreciated. Definitely. Now, this was a weird one from Brittany Hughes. A neighbor of hers posted on a local social media page that his mailbox was hit by a van full of what were clearly cleaning ladies. The impact shattered the back window of the van, damaging his mailbox and leaving glass inside the box all over his sidewalk, yard, and driveway. They drove away without leaving a note, and the only way my neighbor knew what had happened was because of his ring cam. He posted a photo asking if anyone knew who they were so he could seek restitution. Almost every comment on his post was from someone shaming him for trying to find the people who damaged his property, saying they are likely undocumented immigrants who were poor and scared. How would anyone know? Calling him privileged and saying he needs to get over his busted mailbox and glass-filled driveway and think of others. In case y'all were wondering about the absolute insanity we're dealing with in deep blue Northern Virginia. Okay, well, that's a story from the front lines. Aisha Husney says, I've seen birth tourism up close. It's a total abuse of the system. I've seen it as well. Think about it. Someone like me who was not born in the U.S. but has lived here since I was 6 years old will never be able to run for president. But a child born here through birth tourism, taken back and raised in their parents' country, never growing up with American values, somehow can? American citizenship is not an insurance policy. Jared Taylor says MS-13 members are now on trial in Las Vegas for murder. They thought Isaac Towery was a rival gang member and accosted him. They spoke only Spanish. He spoke only English. They abducted him anyway and K'd him with 235 stab wounds. He was just walking home to his mother's house. He had no idea what was happening. I bet you never heard of Isaac Towery, and you'll never hear of him again. Terrible. When I click on Grok, it doesn't tell me if it's true, though. It just recaps what the post is. Yes, the details are true. Currently on trial in Vegas federal court. Well, that's good. Gunther Eagleman asks, hey, remember when Joe Biden left astronauts stuck in space? And Elon Musk had to save them? Remember that? Conservative alternative decries. Elon Musk said it best: if any judge anywhere can block every presidential order everywhere, we do not have democracy. We have tyranny of the judiciary. Conservative Alternative also says Trump needs to ignore every order that doesn't come from the Supreme Court itself. The Supreme Court is the only judicial body whose power rivals that of the president's. The federal judiciary has gone rogue, no longer upholding the law, but rather actively undermining it. What say you? I mean, until something clears that hurdle, shouldn't the burden of proof be the opposite? I mean, maybe, right? Hey, let's check in on back when, in 1993, back when Democrats used to make sense on issues. Dianne Feinstein. Do you remember? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Should you have a system where people can come to this country, even if they're well-to-do, get on Medicaid and give birth to a baby and then go back? The answer is no. And we know that Medicaid laws are being used and abused to do just this in the state of California. I'd like to see that stopped. About 13% of the California prison population, costing close to $300 million a year, are illegal aliens. I've had judges in Los Angeles and Orange County tell me 1/2 of their criminal dockets are illegal aliens. Presently, a convicted illegal alien has the option of serving their sentence in California or being returned to their country of origin. I think that option ought to be removed.
Man, did Democrats lose their way. Mike Davis says it appears as though the Supreme Court is going to constitutionalize birthright citizenship for Chinese birth tourists. This means Chinese nationals have their babies in America, return to China with these new American citizens, vote in our elections, and receive our benefits. Oh, man. AG says the idea that one administration can unilaterally give hundreds of thousands of people temporary legal status, but another administration is not allowed to end that status is absurd on its face. These judges need to stop inventing rules based on their policy preferences. Trump admin must restore legal status to potentially hundreds of thousands of immigrants, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was one of the biggest frustrations I had speaking with Dan Johnson a month or two ago. You know, and Ford Fisher, and just conversations about immigration in general. It's easy to break the law. It's easy to rig the system. It's easy to give people no cards and say you just have to claim asylum. You're seeking asylum. Like, they're coached on everything they're supposed to say to game the system. Hey, we propped the back door open for you. Is the gist of how I take it. We propped the back door open. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. Yeah, but you don't have a wristband. You didn't come in the right way. You came in their way, that janky way. That's not the right way. That's not the proper way. But then all these judges are making it really tough to kick the people out that didn't come in the right way. I'm not down with that. No, it's easy to do. You just have to do it. No, they make it impossible to do. Easy to violate the sovereignty of our nation and almost impossible to remove the people who snuck in. That's not right. How common is birth tourism? Well,
about birth tourism. It's booming.
It's massive. You don't understand how big it is. I do to some degree.
In 2023, over 300,000 babies were born to
ask some nurses. Ask some people that work in healthcare what's going on.
Unauthorized or legal temporary immigrants.
10% of births.
Mothers. Add that in total. It's 9% of the U.S. births in that
Oh my
given
God.
year. When we look at how that shakes out over time, a clear spike in the number of births to unauthorized immigrant mothers in the United States from 2019 to 2023. That's unprecedented. It's unforeseen. It's undeniable. But Chief Justice Roberts, unconvinced.
It certainly wasn't a problem in the 19th century.
No, but of course, we're in a new world now, as Justice Alito pointed out to, where 8 billion people are one plane ride away from having a child who's a U.S. citizen.
Well, it's a new world. It's the same Constitution.
Here's the counterpoint about birth.
Oh, boy. Oh, it would be great to remove some of these lousy judges, put some good judges in. Liz Wheeler says in the next decade, over 1 million Chinese communists will be able to vote in American elections. You heard me. Thanks to birth tourism, Chinese billionaires are paying surrogates to birth their children on U.S. soil, so the babies are American citizens. The children are taken back to China after birth, raised as communists. Then, when they're 18, they're allowed to vote in U.S. elections. That is why birthright citizenship must end. 1 million votes swings any election. Soon the Chinese communists will legally control our elections, unless we end birthright citizenship. Yogi says of Ketanji Brown Jackson, she's unfit for the Supreme Court. It's supposed to be the one institution in America that isn't a stage. 9 people, lifetime appointments, no elections, no donors, no campaigns, just the Constitution. Yesterday, the court ruled 8-1 that Colorado's ban on talk therapy violated the First Amendment. 6 conservatives agreed, but both liberal justices agreed, except Jackson. She wrote a 35-page dissent. 8 justices needed fewer pages to explain the law than she needed to explain why they were all wrong, and read aloud from the bench, turning the court into a spectacle. Then Kagan, Obama's appointee, publicly corrected her, called the case textbook viewpoint discrimination, accused Jackson of reimagining and collapsing the well-settled legal distinctions. Jackson fired back in a footnote, accusing Kagan and Sotomayor of being dupes for the conservative majority. It goes on and on. It's a good read. But she wants to be a politician. She just skipped the election. And I hope you understand what's at stake. J.D. Vance says ICE arrested an illegal alien from Mauritania who voted in 7 federal elections since 2008, saying even if you take the Democrats at their word, even if illegal aliens voting is very rare, then why don't we ban it anyway? We should. Reminder, as we look at these terrible Supreme Court justices, C3 says, you know they K'd Antonin Scalia, right? Antonin Scalia. Many people say he was taken out in a hit. Ketanji Brown Jackson, the Harvard graduate for what it's worth, argued, if I steal a wallet in Japan, I am subject to Japanese laws. In a sense, it's allegiance. You gotta be kidding me. Artemis 2 from the airplane. That's a cool video. All right, so let's see. Pam Bondi fired as AG, according to Fox News reporting it now. Oh, they're saying EPA Director Lee Zeldin reportedly under consideration to replace her. Trump met in the Oval Office with Bondi before his speech last night. By the time Trump took his place behind the podium for the address, Bondi had already lost her job and was on her way back to Florida. Bondi's firing comes after she was heavily criticized for the handling of the Epstein files. Pam Bondi was fired in part because President Trump believed she had tipped off Eric Swalwell, according to the Daily Mail. This coming from Colin Rugg. Trump reportedly believes Bondi had tipped off Swalwell about an FBI effort to share investigative documents about his relationship with an alleged Chinese spy. The FBI was preparing a cache of documents on Swalwell's relationship with Christine Feng, the Daily Mail reports. She's intervening in those matters. The White House wasn't pleased. She was intervening due to her personal friendship with Swalwell, a source told the Daily Mail. Okay. That is essentially what I wanted to show with you. By the way, percentage of U.S. births to foreign-born mothers, 6.5% in 1980, 23.5% projected in 2025, according to C3. All by design, immigration is being used to destroy the West, end birthright citizenship, and end this. Lane Brown gives us a reminder. Karl Malone got a 13-year-old girl pregnant and was still allowed to play in the NBA, even allowed to judge an NBA dunk contest. Jaden Ivey shares his Christian beliefs, and he's blackballed from the NBA. See the issue? Babylon B says Chicago Bulls offer to reinstate Jaden Ivey if he will do some cocaine and beat a few women. The guy on the left was arrested and convicted for illegally selling missiles to Iran during the Reagan administration, Oliver North. The guy on the right is a Fox News military analyst who thinks Iran shouldn't have missiles. They're the same guy. Al Gore wasn't just wrong. It was so much worse, she says. Was this an accurate translation? We asked Grok. No, that's not an accurate translation of what she said. Oh, look at this. Merkel urges German citizens with migration backgrounds to stick together against the AfD, warning that splitting along those lines would make their country weaker against the party. She's countering AfD's people versus elites narrative by affirming migrants as citizens are part of the German people. She doesn't admit to deliberately flooding Germany with migrants to stop the far right, nor call it demographic warfare or treason. That's a heavy spin that's not in her words. But did she deliberately flood Germany with third world migrants to stop the far right? Did she choose to erase her own people rather than lose power? Okay, not an accurate translation. But still, keep your eyes on Germany. Bill Gates says the merging of biometric, digital ID, bank accounts, payment systems needed to safely monitor people's health records, keeping tabs on farmers, and tackling climate problems. Get the hell out of here, Bill Gates. Get out of here. James O'Keefe got out of a Miami court. Judge extended a temporary restraining order till May 11th with a ruling then. Court is now asking him to surrender firearms. Filing an emergency interlocutory appeal today. Prior restraint against a newsroom is unconstitutional. Near v. Minnesota. Violation of First and Second Amendment rights. They're reporting on Matt Termond. They published a tape of him threatening to K him. James O'Keefe shot up an image of me on the front of my book with a bullet rifle through my heart. He bragged about being an SDNY informant. Comments were angry at him. He just brought a domestic violence stalking restraining order afterward in Miami family court against my news organization, and the local judge signed off. This is an extraordinary series of events, not an April Fool's joke, so stay tuned. Stephen Miller says birthright citizenship means the children of illegal aliens can vote to tax your children and seize their inheritance. Yikes. Fernando Mendoza has his Indiana Pro Day. For those of you football fans. MIT researchers mathematically prove that ChatGPT's built-in sycophancy creates a phenomenon they call delusional spiraling. You ask it something, it agrees. You ask again, and it agrees even harder until you end up believing things that are flat out false. And you can't tell it's happening. The model is literally trained on human feedback that rewards agreement. Real-world fallout includes one man who spent 300 hours convinced he invented a world-changing math formula, and a UCSF psychiatrist who hospitalized 12 patients for chatbot-linked psychosis in a single year. Holy crap. Be careful. Democrat congressman tries to prove that the SAVE Act and voter ID would disenfranchise everyone. So he goes to church.
So regardless about how you feel about voter ID, right? It's not about that. This is about ease of registration, right? The most common form of ID that everybody has is a driver's license, right? I'm of a different era. I'm of a different generation. I probably feel a little bit differently about it. But watch this. How many people in here do not have an ID? Right? Everybody has an ID, right? So my thoughts on it a little bit differently. So
everybody has an ID. Brutal. That was a backfire. Houston Rockets player Dorian Finney-Smith on Jaden Ivey says, I stand with Jaden Ivey on everything he said. If they cut him, they might as well cut me too. Oh boy. He spoke out about a lot of things. We'll wait and see exactly why Jaden Ivey was cut. It's being blamed on the fact that he publicly spoke out that the NBA shouldn't be doing Pride nights. Cut by the Bulls. Or no, by the Pistons. Cut by the Pistons. But he played on the Bulls previously. I might be confusing my teams. But keep your eyes peeled on that story. Okay. And that's what I wanted to share with you. Lance, a couple more. Because I'm following the ballroom story. Because it's not about the ballroom. FDR built an indoor swimming pool with private funds. Obama built a basketball court with private funds. But a single judge can block President Trump from building a privately funded ballroom that would benefit generations to come. It just doesn't make sense. Just like the Ketanji Brown Jackson, if I steal a wallet in Japan, I'm subject to Japanese laws. In a sense, it's allegiance. Here's Saul Goodman. Your Honor, my client is American because he committed his crimes in America. Okay. Mike Lee saying the left would have a much better argument about birthright citizenship if Section 1 of the 14th Amendment did not contain this limiting clause emphasized below in all caps, which the left chronically ignores. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. Yeah, I mean, that's a clear qualifier. You're not subject to the jurisdiction thereof if you're not a resident. My goodness. These people thought they were writing things clear, but vague enough that it could be argued otherwise. Right Angle News Network reports numerous women, including a 19-year-old teenager, have come forward to blow the whistle on California Rep and governor candidate Eric Swalwell, claiming he's been sleeping with his interns and staffers and forcing them to sign NDAs to keep quiet. Uh-oh. This can't be real. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey unveils a plan for a 1,200-foot wind turbine in the Charles River that would be visible from Fenway Park. Officials say the turbine would help power thousands of Boston homes while costing taxpayers $2.3 billion. I'm asking Grok for some context. Before the account confirmed it as an April Fool's joke. Yeah, I'm fine with jokes, but we need to put a border around them. Once it's identified, this is parody, this is humorous, it's comedy, this is AI, this isn't real. Consume it as entertainment. You know, have fun with that. But it's not, it doesn't make it real. I know. Like Leon, if I commit a crime in Japan, that does not make me Japanese. Exactly. Like Leon, I need ballroom. Supreme Court better get the birth stuff stopped. Yes. David asking about the firmament to separate the waters from below and the skies above. Okay, so that was fake. Matt Walsh. Oh, I did cover that one. Matt Walsh says Clarence Thomas is a brilliant man and one of the greatest justices of all time. He also needs to retire immediately. He's 77 years old. If Democrats win the midterms and then the presidency, which they very likely could, there's a significant chance they will get to replace him with another Ketanji Brown Jackson. That would be a disaster for the country. We need to get young conservatives on the court right now. Alito, too. He's 76. Trump talking about the new ballroom. The military wanted it more than anybody. Here's why. According to Blonde Lady 2024. The project dismantled the old Presidential Emergency Operations Center, PEOC, the historic White House bunker under the East Wing. It is replacing it with a new, modernized, below-grade, secure facility. The subterranean part is described as top secret by White House officials, and its costs are not included in the public ballroom figures. Trump has explicitly said the military is very much involved in this and that a preservationist lawsuit exposed previously top-secret military Secret Service involvement in aspects of the design and planning. And this is the image taking note of all the changes we've had over the years to the White House. The fires, the rebuilding, the renovations, the celebrations. The dude is a renovator. Let him renovate. Let him build. He's a builder. Let him build. The fact that these large gatherings have to be done outside, intense, with inclement weather, beyond absurd. Here's a Cold War era bunker located beneath a suburban home in Las Vegas, built in 1978. Look how cool that is. Wow. Imagine that in the basement. White House quietly rebuilds secret underground bunker beneath the East Wing. So while everyone's arguing about Trump's giant White House ballroom, the actual action is happening underground. They quietly tore out the Cold War bunker under the East Wing and are rebuilding something new, very secret, very expensive. Same space where Dick Cheney hid on 9/11. Presidents practiced apocalypse drills, and the infrastructure still ran on 1940s logic. Officials won't say much beyond top secret and national security, which is just slang for trust us, stop looking. They even skipped normal approval steps because apparently democracy doesn't fit in a classified bunker. Public gets the ballroom spectacle. Real stories, whatever high-tech doomsday cave replaces the old one. And that's a story worth following. And that's where I'm going to wrap today's show. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Be back tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. Consider tossing something in the tip jar if you appreciate the show. And follow us in all of the platforms. Share our show. Hit the thumbs up button. Thank you for your comments, your questions, your jokes. From David, from John, from Marion, from Kenneth, and everybody in chat. And we'll see what we have to uncover tomorrow on the TNAM Daily Show. So signing out on behalf of everybody out there in the TNAM universe, I appreciate you. I love you. And we will talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.